It is time for another match of StarCraft 2, and what I got for you today is a Gold League Zerg vs Protoss played on Cactus Valley LE. Spawning in the southeast corner, playing in red and playing with the Zerg pieces, we have none other than the player known as Gizmo. And in the northeast corner, playing in blue and playing with the probes, he goes by the nickname of Wheelie. Now, of course, like I said, this is indeed going to be a Gold League Zerg vs Protoss, and if there's one thing that I learned from casting a lot of viewer-submitted replays like this one as well, is that generally speaking, right, in Gold League, and in particular anywhere below like Diamond League or so, Protoss players absolutely adore the cannon rush. And it's funny as well because in pretty much every single ZVP that I've casted so far, and actually it's a gateway this time around, but in pretty much every single ZVP that I've casted so far as well, even though Protoss players are so enjoying those cannon rushes, the Zerg players are pretty much always opening up with a hatchery first. Now actually, ooh, I thought I saw a drone move on the minimap. Actually, this is going to be a scouting one instead. He's actually sending it to the cross position first. Kind of interesting, because apparently he's gonna be getting to the other end of the map here in just a little bit. But there you see that hatchery going down on the low ground right away. It's actually kind of interesting how that works out. For some odd reason, even though the cannon rush is so very common, it is, you know, it is just one of the most common strategies below like Diamond League or so. I would say it probably happens in about 75% of the games. Zergs are still opening up hatchery first almost every single game. Now, if you are struggling against cannon rushes and you are playing Zerg yourself as well, most definitely just simply go for a pool first. I mean, there's nothing wrong about that. Nothing wrong about that whatsoever. Now, Wheelie has also made his way right here to the top left corner. The workers are gonna be able to clap hands, and actually, it almost looks like Gizmo is gonna try and expand. That almost, oh my, no. Wait, is Wheelie actually, no way! Wheelie, I was gonna say, is he gonna block the hatchery? It almost looked right there, but like Wheelie anticipated his opponent spawning right here in the top left corner. There's no way, right? He's literally building a pylon. He did see that that drone moves to the other end of the map as well, right? There's no way, right? Wheelie, you cheeky little bastard. You actually just got out-droned, I suppose. I mean, look at that. There is indeed a fort going down right now. There's also a cybercore that's already done. We see that Nexus going down on the low ground, but the new pylon has been made on the other end of the map. And that little bit of drone control right there, even though it was some sort of weird rally-in, made Wheelie think like his opponent was trying to expand. And it probably made him think that he ended up blocking the expansion. Is he gonna build cannons? Oh my god, he's building cannons. He's building cannons right now in the top left corner. Now, little does he know, his opponent isn't even there. He's got absolutely no clue what's going on, of course. Not quite a crescent moon, so that is about 2 points, you know, reduction right there for style. But regardless, he's still going to be capable of creating a whole lot of static defense here in the northwest corner. And honestly, there's very little happening there. That's not going to do anything. On the same time, though, or at the same time, Gizmo has taken himself another base here. He's going up to 3 hatcheries. I don't think he's aware either of this whole shenanigans. He saw that single pylon go up, but that is about it. He ended up stealing one of his opponent's gas geysers as well, but there's already a zealot on the way, so I'm assuming that that one will shortly be able to get rid of all of this aggression. Regardless, though, he's now also got an overlord right here that will have scouted that indeed that Nexus went down rather early there on the low ground, but still, that's kind of hilarious. I mean, Wheelie still has absolutely no idea that he didn't cannon rush his opponent, and actually, he's sending a probe here to the 4th or 5th base location here of the Zerg. Is he actually gonna build a proxy base? It almost looks like he's thinking about building a 3rd Nexus here. We'll keep an eye out on that in just a little bit. Regardless, though, this is starting to be a little bit of a crazy match here. If you've got a wild game yourself as well, you can now submit them to replays at LowkoTV. Just a simple email address. Just attach the replays to that. Regardless, though, this might very well turn into a bit of a wild one, because Wheelie is still making the assumption that his opponent is in the top left corner. And I guess so far, he got completely thrown off by that single drone on the other end of the map. Just a simple rallying right there. I have no idea why Zerg decided to scout the cross positions first. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Now, of course, Gizmo does know what's going on. He's gonna scout out whether or not that pylon is still there after, you know, he saw that it went down with his very first scouting drone as well. He's gonna, you know, run a couple of links right there to the north while also running a couple here towards that natural of the Protoss. Mothership core will be coming out here in just a second. There we go. And apparently these Zerglings have now ended up falling as well, because, oh my god, wait, what was that? We saw, oh no, he's I was gonna say, we see some of those move commands. Indeed, he's sending over the mothership core towards this pylon as well. Wheelie is still making the assumption that he contained his opponent in the top left corner on one base, and he's proxying a nexus on the other end of the map. Wheelie is not reading this situation correctly whatsoever. But I mean, there were a bunch of Zerglings there, right? There was a drone that was almost expanding, right? I mean, it makes perfect sense, but in the end, there's very little happening here in the top left corner. I would say that so far, Gizmo is definitely having the upper hand at out-reading his opponent. Now, of course, Wheelie, he's got himself a lot of gas income right now. I mean, look at that. He doesn't really have all too many probes. He's still desperately trying to add a bunch of these on, but he's going to be getting a ton of gas income here very, very shortly. I wonder what he's going to be spending that on. Is he even going for that? Oh, wow. He's going for the shields upgrade first. So maybe he's planning to go for some Stargate play. I mean, there's a chance that that is going to be the case. Regardless, Nexus on the other end of the map has been taken as well. He's building himself 2 gas geysers here as well, just so he can keep up with that gas production. And Gizmo, in the meantime, has built himself quite a lot of forces. I mean, the mothership core is all the way on the other end of the map, trying to contain a non-existing Zerker in the top left corner. But this is going to be a little tricky. I mean, how is he gonna actually hold on to that? He's gonna have to teleport home with his mothership core if he plans on defending here very, very nicely. These, oh, nice little bit of micro there as well. Ooh, well, almost. Close one right there. Yeah, there we go. I was gonna say he's gonna have to teleport that home because these roaches can do a lot of work. Once again, though, nice bit of micro there, but the Zerg is trying to get across. That's not how roaches do. Oh my god, roaches without speed are so very slow. A single cannon here on the top of the ramp will also be able to prevent this last roach from getting in there and really obtaining any kind of scouting information. But Gizmo seems like he's not done just yet. He's adding on a lot of additional roaches, but at the same time, 2 Stargates indeed have been produced here by Wheelie. He must realize at this time that there is no... Oh my god, he still does not know. He must realize at this time that these roaches did not come from the top left corner, right? I mean, he surely would have noticed that, right? And indeed, once again, we do see some aggression going in here into the Protoss' main base. The Zerglings going straight after that cannon on the high ground, but of course, Photon Overcharge, very, very helpful, and I don't think they're going to be able to achieve a whole lot, but at the same time as well, the roaches have made their way towards that natural. At least a couple of them are going to be able to do a bit of damage. That cannon here at the front of the base will also get taken care of. But I wonder, how will this one turn out? I mean, once again, Gizmo, right? He's scouting out exactly what's going on. He's trying to do whatever damage he can, but there are quite a few Immortals here at the front. Double Oracles are being produced right now as well, and very shortly, I'm assuming here we're gonna see some higher tier units, and these Immortals actually are doing work. They ended up getting a lot of kills. This hero right here on the right picked up 8 kills in total, the other one only 2, but of course the Mothership Core has got a bunch of kills here as well with that Photon Overcharge, and I don't think that Zerk is gonna be able to achieve a whole lot here. He's following it up right now with even 2 more Sentry, or rather 2 more Phoenixes here as well, and of course a few cannons in the mineral lines, as, you know, of course that is one thing that you have to do. The Nexus on the other end of the map has finished up, but for the time being, Wheelie has not quite made a whole lot of units for that just yet. Now, he ended up scouting it. I guess he sent an Overlord. Yeah, he sent an Overlord all the way from the other end of the map, straight across to the actually bottom left corner, and he ends up scouting and finding this 3rd Nexus here from the Protoss. Now, Protoss currently still has absolutely no idea where his opponent spawned, and he's actually... Oh my god, Wheelie! Wheelie, you're better than that, dude! Wheelie is sending the oracles to the top left corner of the map, only to find out that there is nothing here whatsoever. There's no creep spread. Well, I guess there's a single overlord, so there's that. But now he will finally recognize that something is amiss, and he will be able to figure out where the rest of these units are coming from. The roaches are indeed taking down that nexus. The 2 assimilators will also have to end up falling there. Zerglings scout out where the oracles are currently positioned. But I guess at this point in time, we've got a bit of a lull in the game. I mean, yeah, Wheelie is just simply trying to build up additional Stargate units right now. Zerk is just mostly holding back for the time being. I guess he needs to build himself up, you know, some more anti-air. He's got a lot of drones here in the main base. I would really like to see a transfer towards that 3rd, just so he can keep up with that Hydralisk production. Getting himself that Muscular Augments upgrade as well. There we go. We do see that drone transfer eventually. But he's going to be able to get himself the Research Hero for the Hydras too, giving them some additional range, giving them some additional movement speed as well, which is, of course, very very, very valuable, but I don't think either player is really looking to move out at this point in the game. I mean, Wheelie might actually be looking to take this base right here in the top left, or even, you know, the one right here. I mean, he's already got cannons for defense. I would have not minded seeing that whatsoever, but it's so funny to me how he didn't realize until like 9 minutes into the game, maybe 8 minutes into the game, that his opponent did not scout in the top left corner, or did not spawn in the top left corner whatsoever. Gizmo getting himself that +2 attack upgrade, also going up to +1 carapace. There's now also a fleet beacon right here on the production tab, as well as in the main base of the Protoss. He's going to be able to start building up those double Tempest here very, very shortly, but it's more than likely going to be for the carriers. Of course, carrier is one of the strongest units in the game. In particular, if you manage to get a whole lot of them out, if you manage to max out on carriers, they're very, very helpful. Yeah, there we do indeed see those first 2 in production right now, and this also allows the Mothership Core to be morphed into a Mothership. And you know, the Mothership, all kidding aside, it's a very supply heavy unit, but it's extremely good, in particular if you've got a bunch of Phoenixes out and you can shut down any kind of potential detection from your Zerg opponent. Now, of course, Gizmo has been displaying quite an aggressive style actually in this game so far. I've been coaching a lot of Zerg players over the course of the last couple of years, and one thing that I realized very well is that a lot of Zerg players do not feel comfortable playing aggressive. But so far, Gizmo, I mean, his Roach run-bys haven't been the most effective, but he's been most definitely showing that he's capable of doing a bit of pressure. Now, he's got himself an Overseer right here as well. We do see 2 additional Stargates added on right now as well, which is a little tricky because I don't think Wheelie can really properly afford all of that gas. I mean, already, he was mining from that for a long time. Actually missing a single probe there in the gas in the main, but he's not going to be capable of really doing a whole lot there. He's also getting himself that robotics base, so maybe he's thinking about going up to Colossi too, which is going to be very scary because look at the amount of Zerg that's already out here on the map. +2 is just about to finish. I would love to see a move out right around that time. I mean, +1 armor just finished up as well, so I would really like to see a move out right when these upgrades finish up. And that's always been my tip, okay? If you are, you know, a Zerg player or a Protoss player or a Terran player for that matter, push out right when upgrades finish up, and that's exactly what we see right now from the Zerg player in red. Very, very nicely done. Will make this game significantly easier. He's using a Changeling to scout out what's going on here at the front, and this is most definitely an army he can take out. Very nice movement there as well. Moving onwards with those roaches. However, photon overcharges are very, very powerful, so he's going to be able to, at the very least, get pushed back here for the time being. Now, I'm not sure if he even needs to, but it's a very tough decision to make, right? These Immortals here, definitely not at the most powerful upgrades in the game. They're quite a bit ahead when it comes to those researches. The thing is, though, I do like this movement as well from Gizmo. Just simply sitting back, making sure that he gets himself, you know, more and more economy here, but more importantly, he's preventing his opponent from taking the third. I really, really do like that move. Now, Wheelie, of course, being the Protoss player that he is, I mean, he's got a lot of production here on that, you know, 2-base eco. I mean, it's effectively speaking really only a single base at this point in time. He's just simply trying to build up as many high-tier Protoss units as he can. I guess, yeah, there we do also see that Mothership being added on. I guess he's just planning to build one big maxed out force on the 2 bases that he got, and then to move across the map to try and close out the game right then and there. And I'm not gonna lie, this is oftentimes a strategy that works very, very well as well. Even though Zerg has established a lot more bases, right, and we do see some workers going on over here too, even though Zerg has got a lot more income, this is still going to be a bit of trouble. Now, the Phoenixes do get picked off here, at least a couple of them. Apparently, the Hydras are merciful, at least for the time being, making this a little bit easier for the Protoss, at the very least, to fly out of there. I guess he managed to get himself a Queen and maybe a couple of Hydras here and there. But still, Zerg has done its very best to do as much damage here as he possibly can. And once again, look at this cute little move. Dropping just a handful of Hydras here in the main base. I guess he's going to be capable of killing a pylon. I don't think he's going to be able to do a whole lot more other than just simply pushing onwards here. But look at that. That's actually doing quite a bit of work. It's pulling the Protoss out of position. Now, of course, using the all-army hotkey right there, making sure that he gets the, you know, the gross part of his army, or the, you know, the chunk right here that wasn't a natural previously. Actually, he didn't use the all-army hotkey. Very, very nice. Anyway, you know, making sure that at least a bunch of those units got taken care of. Probes now also moving towards that top left corner. Somehow, some way, they managed to push past all of these Zerg units, and they've snuck their way into the top left. I'm gonna make the assumption here that Wheelie is trying to expand here. I mean, this is kind of a good position for him as well, right? However, 4 carriers now on the production tab, and Wheelie is building up a bigger and bigger and bigger force. Zerg, meanwhile, going up towards the hive, and indeed, we are arriving at this bit of a lull in the game, you know? Like this point in the game where both players are not entirely sure what to do. I mean, I really do like the move here from Gizmo, right? He's trying to contain his opponent. He scouted out the third base locations, and he realized that they weren't taken for a long time. Now, I would have really liked to see a bit more scouting on his end, just to see whether or not any of the other bases are taken, because this is a massive, massive map. At the same time though, for Wheelie, I would really like to try and see him take a third base here as well. It's totally okay at this point to expand to watch your opponent too, just because the mothership as well as the carriers are extremely good at defensive play, and for the longest time, I mean, he hasn't really been doing a whole lot here. For the longest time, he's been sitting on the resources that he got. Now look at the amount of resources that both these players have. That's one of the lovely things about Gold League, and one of the things that I always find absolutely hilarious. Even though they take a lot of economy, and you know, I guess in Wheelie's sake, it really didn't take a whole lot, macro-wise, it's still looking a little bit sloppy. Now Gizmo though, of course he's maxed out right now though, which is great for him. As long as he can build up some additional larvae, life is going to be great for him after, you know, this Protoss army starts to move out. But this is not going to be an easy army to kill. I mean, even though, sure, right, it's 122 supply right now versus 199. Army supply wise, Zerg is also ahead, but he's got a very low tier army in comparison to the Protoss. I mean, these are the maxed out Protoss units pretty much, right? Colossi, Mothership Core, or Mothership rather, we got a lot of carriers, there's a bunch of Phoenixes in there, and with good control, this Protoss army can most definitely take out the one from the Zerg here in the middle of the map. I mean, look at this. The main strength though, and actually hold that thought for just a second, because there is a Nidus Worm going down here, but the main strength of this Zerg force is that he's gonna be capable of getting a ton of reinforcements. Even after the Zerg army dies, he's gonna be capable of getting a new one very, very shortly. Now, indeed, we do see that Ultralisk Cavern go down. We do see the Spire going down here in the bottom left corner as well. Zerg is, you know, looking very solid as far as tech goes as well, but his current army is not all too strong, and we may very well be seeing an engagement here very, very shortly. And, you know, I know this will trigger a bunch of Zerg players. Actually, the Protoss is going to back off here for the time being, but I know this will trigger a bunch of Zerg players because it's 128 versus 196 supply, but this is most definitely a fight that the Protoss can quite easily win just by simply positioning his army accordingly. With this many Immortals on the ground and all the other units here available as well, this is a very, very powerful force here from the Protoss. Now, of course, Protoss is practically all in with this, right? I mean, he's got no more economy, and while he does have a lot of additional resources that he's not really spending here either, and I would really like to see him take a third base. Apparently, there's one Hero Roach having a bit of a face-off against a bunch of probes here. Regardless, though, I would really like to see him, like, try and take a third base. I guess he's just simply trying to do what I said earlier, and he's just simply building up a bigger and bigger force, after which he will be able to move across the map and potentially wipe out the Zerg's army and go for the timing there to basically wipe out all of the buildings before the Zerg player can regroup. A couple of Vipers now also in production. I do like this one a lot. There is currently a Nidus Worm that's also out here. Apparently, they are connected right now between the fourth base. I guess we can call this one the fourth base, and then also the one in the bottom left corner. But still, I mean, both of these players are just simply trying to macro out a larger and larger force. And we know that the fight is imminent, right? We know that the fight is imminent, or at the very least, a confrontation. Someone's gonna have to move across this map here and try and obtain the victory. Now, another option here for the Zerg, actually, besides taking on this army, and that's actually the one that I would prefer. Apparently, though, that Zerg will have to end up paying, apparently, for all of these spines that he's got, you know, by a bunch of probes. But regardless... Another Roach is looking to take its place. Another option that Zerg has, rather than just simply taking on this army head-on, is to make sure that he takes on this fight, you know, close towards his base, and just simply go for the counterattack, or, indeed, he can just simply never engage his army to begin with, and go for a counterattack as soon as the Protoss moves out. I'm not opposed to that idea whatsoever. I mean, that's actually a pretty solid idea here as well. Now, sadly, that Overlord does end up getting taken care of, but so many Protoss units, I mean, he's adding on more and more of them, so many of these Protoss units will become a bit of an issue. Now, I think that he was planning to go for the Nidus right there in the main of the Protoss, realized that all of the Protoss units are still hanging out there. Actually, now come to think of it, I think that Gizmo should probably go ahead and just simply counterattack right from the get-go. I don't think he even wants to go ahead and take on this army. Look at this. This is a terrifying force. There are 2, 4, 6, 8 carriers, is that? Is that 8 carriers right there? Yeah, that's 8 carriers right there. 3 Colossi, 5 Immortals, we see a bunch of Void Rays, we see that Mothership, and we also see 4 Phoenixes. I mean, this is a force to be reckoned with. Even though the supply count is not quite maxed out, I think that Zerg should probably opt for a counterattack. Now, of course, we'll have to see whether or not that is something that Gizmo wants to do. Very shortly, you will realize that indeed, all of these Protoss units are getting very, very close to his base. A single Corruptor trying to fly towards that army, but it will immediately get taken care of as well. And I think that Zerg may very well be looking for a counterattack. Nice decision making right there by Gizmo. Now, Wheelie, of course, if he's gonna go for the counterattack, right, and he's gonna go for the base trade kind of scenario. Actually, no, Zerg is gonna try and turn around here in the last second. If he decides to go for that counterattack, this is gonna be a very, very difficult fight for him to take. I mean, of course, right, the Mothership can still mass recall towards his natural, and indeed, Gizmo has decided that it is going to be the strategy that he's looking for. He's indeed gonna turn around here and go for the aggression here eventually. Nice Stasis Warrior in production here as well, but regardless, I mean, ooh, actually it got taken care of. Regardless though, like, generally speaking, taking a base trade against against a Zerg is very, very tricky. Zerg has got a ton of bases, and you can never really know where they expanded all over the map. With Protoss, of course, taking expansions in the top left corner, and it's simply the scouting capabilities of Zerg are so much more powerful that, generally speaking, the Zerg will be in a very, very powerful position. One base has already fallen, second base has already fallen here as well, and Wheelie is looking to close out this game here on the other end of the map. Recognizing what's going on though, because he's also lost his own natural, he's taking a Nexus here in the bottom left corner, and he's gonna try his very best to simply sit back and kill his opponent before he can kill him. A ballsy move. I would really like to see this army teleport home right now, because look at this Zerg force. There's really not that many units here. I mean, the Protoss can easily take out all of these units, but the thing is, there are still a lot of reinforcements here on the low ground as well. But I think that Zerg is gonna try and just simply close this game out in the exact same way. There's still a lot of units here in the Nidus Worm as well that are currently not being used by Gizmo. I don't think he recognizes exactly what's up just yet. He's got himself that Greater Spire, he's got himself that Ultralisk Cavern here as well, but he's currently supply blocked after losing all of his bases. Another one will end up falling here. Nidus Worm does also end up getting killed, and another base does get killed. Main base under a lot of threat right now though. Gizmo trying to take out the last of the buildings here of the Protoss. The probes have indeed moved towards the top left corner, only to find out that Zerg has managed to take another hatchery here in the top left corner. And that's the thing, this Protoss army, while very powerful, it's not very mobile. This is not a force that will easily move across other than the mass recall, which is no longer an option now that the base in the top right corner has indeed been killed. Another hatchery under threat right now. It will end up falling in just a matter of seconds, but I can't help but think that Wheelie can just simply take the engagement and take out his opponent's army and therefore obtain the victory. Then again, scouting that right now is very, very tricky. Gizmo does have the option now to get a couple of these Greater Spire units as well, although I don't know if it matters, because look at the amount of damage that these interceptors do. The Roach Ravager army, or Roach Hydra army rather, moving across right now as well, trying to get towards that last Nexus. This base is not revealed just yet, but he did end up scouting it right there, and the Zerg army actually is getting very, very close to it. The Protoss currently preoccupied right here in the bottom left corner of the map, and I think that Zerg may very well be able to go for it right now. He's moving into that position. This is the last mining building for the Protoss, or the last building, all things considered together, and I think that Protoss was hoping that this was going to be the final expo, but it's not. And Gizmo kills the Nexus before Wheelie can close out the game. Tricky one right there. What a lovely Gold League match. I always really enjoy watching these kind of games. I mean, they are very different than the highest level of StarCraft 2, right? And I love the thought process that's pretty obvious there. I mean, the fact that, Wheelie thought his opponent spawned, in the top left corner of the map for like the first 8 to 9 minutes or so, that is absolutely hilarious. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this game. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. Other than that, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you in the next one.